Hello, good evening, and good welcome to Gaming Tavern / Xbox Tavern Game of the Year 2025. We've done a few of these videos now. You can go check them out on the YouTube channel, should you so wish, with AJ, Ross. There's going to be a few other ones coming up, but today's one is the one and only special guest Pete. Hello, special guest Pete Howler. It's been a long time since we've seen you. How are you?
I know, it's been a very long time. Thank you for the introduction, Jamie. So I am well, as one could be on a Sunday night on the 21st December, recording Game of the Year chat. So
about 8 p.m.
ish.
Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to having a chat and see how long this takes, because usually I know most chats would be quite short, Game of the Year, but obviously me and you tend to waffle on quite a bit. So I imagine
We do have a bit of the waffle disease about, especially when we get chatting about something we're really into. So
exactly.
that's right. We got all night and we're going to be here for a few hours. we got plenty of time. Buckle in, everybody. Grab your popcorn. Yeah, grab your popcorn. Grab yourself a beverage. Make sure you go into the toilet and then sit down and listen to what will be a list of some tremendous video games, I'm sure, occur over the next half hour ish. So special guest Pete, as with the other videos we've done, we've got a few honourable mentions we want to do, and then we'll get into your main choice. So do you want to kick things off with honourable mention number one?
So my first honourable mention is it's not a game that came out this year, but I wanted to put it in there because I think this is what the spirit of honourable mentions are about, and it's basically Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was Ian's Game of the Year last year, and I was able to kind of play it mid-year when Ian was kind enough to lend me his PS5, unlike someone else, and and I had an absolute blast. You know, I can see why it was named Game of the Year. Obviously, Square have been taking a few liberties with the story and stuff like that, but yeah, I can see why Ian named it as Game of the Year, and it took me a good month to complete it because I was just doing every side quest possible because they were just quite entertaining and getting all the side bosses and that kind of thing. And yeah, I thought it deserved a shout for this year because I played it even though it came out last year on PS5. I didn't get to play it this year, so I thought we'll put it in the honourable mentions, not to do anything controversial to start off with them.
Yeah, let's save that for the end. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a nice and quick, great game. Well done for last year.
So before you move on, because I don't really know anything about Final Fantasy VII too much.
Yeah.
This is game 2 of 3, right? That they're remaking.
Game 2 of 3, yeah.
And it's sort of the middle section of whatever the original Final Fantasy VII was, I guess.
Basically, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how spoiler centric we're being with these Game of the Year chats.
We'll just go for it.
So, I mean, look, if you haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII from 1997, then obviously this is your fault by now. But obviously, you know, in the remake, the first one, they started going a bit off storyline and kind of Aerith saw her own death kind of thing. And then at the end of number 2, you kind of get to that point in the story where she dies or may not die. You never know. But yeah, I mean, the last boss was an absolute bitch. Excuse my French. It took me at least 4 or 5 attempts to beat until I finally figured out what to do. Hi Lily, which is like, guess what a good game does. Rewards you for persistence and trying different things, and you know everything about it, the art, the music that went with it was like just spot on, and it gives you that kind of goosebump moment of holy shit, this is it. And then, you know, obviously they kind of trick you into doing the recreation of the scene where, you know, Sephiroth, you know, grinds his sword through Aerith, and you get that scene in the original, and they're baiting you towards it. And you're like, oh, it's gonna happen. And obviously I won't go too spoiler, but I'm like, oh, okay, so that happened. And then there's some other bits happening where they've now included Zack. It feels like at this point it's like a multiverse story going on, because you've got like Zack, who was like Cloud's friend early on, and like, there's a lot of lore going on where it's like, okay, they're twisting and retconning a lot of lore. I'm not too sure I'm quite following what's going on, but I'm just gonna let it play out, you know. Because obviously the third game will be, you know, the ending, and obviously it will be stacked with bosses and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to number 3 coming out, and of course the Final Fantasy remake. The demo is out now on Xbox, which I was very happy to download, and which comes out, I think it's like mid-January next year on Xbox. So that will be my Game of the Year next year, already locked in.
just setting up the controversy right from the get go.
I mean, it released. If it releases 2026 on Xbox, I think it's fair game.
Yeah, no, likewise.
Just like Ross and Hades, you know.
Exactly.
It's all good. Yeah,
I'll have to ask him when that come out. I can't remember.
No, I can't. That's fair. No.
Anyway, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now it's been released on Xbox. You've got that as your honorable mention. Second honorable mention, then, please, special guest Pete.
So the second honorable mention is a game that came out this year and quite recently is the Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. I know, but you're saying this theme tune, and I to be honest, I was a bit like, the theme song's the same, but it's changed a little bit, as in like the way it's sung, and I'm like, I'm not sure I like that. Just because the original was so great, and you're like, do you want to change it, or are you gonna, keep it as it was, kind of thing? Because for what it is, Delta is basically pretty much a 1-for-1 remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 that came out on PS2 way back when.
Yep.
This is pretty much what, actually, to be fair, going back to Final Fantasy, this is basically what Final Fantasy wants from number 7. It was like, right, just give me a 1-for-1 remake of everything that happened and just give me it in today's Unreal 25 graphics, And that is basically what Konami has done with Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. I was a bit worried considering it had Konami attached to it, because it's like, well, we know how much they know, they know how hate Kojima and how much they haven't really done with anything with the Metal Gear series since he departed, apart from that Metal Gear
Survive, wasn't it?
That was it.
They haven't really done anything until this last year, where they've apparently knocked out some right cracking games. So but maybe they're on a bit of a resurgence. No.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a bit of fear of, even though they say, we're going to remake it, is that because of Final Fantasy VII remake was already out, there was that fear of, oh god, are they going to Konami it and just make it not 1-for-1? What microtransactions are they going to put in, all this kind of stuff? And to be fair, microtransactions, there's a few cosmetics that are hidden behind a paywall, but nothing that will hurt you in game. It's like a crocodile hat and all kind of thing, or a crocodile suit, I should say, and some other bits which don't really matter. It's nothing that affects the story in the way you play the game. And to be fair, it, like I said, it pretty much is a 1-for-1 remake. Like, even obviously all the maps are the same. Like even how small they are, and there is still that loading screen between each map you go to. So like when you're fighting the end near the did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 3, Jay?
No, it's one of the ones I've missed out here.
One of the bosses is called the End, where he's basically just a sniper, and obviously you've got to take him down, and there's multiple ways to take him down. As in any Metal Gear game, there's more than one way to take down a boss. This is where Kojima's, even back in the PS2 days, like his genius came to play, because you could literally just you could obviously start the fight, you could just save the game, exit, come back a week later, and the end would have died from just old age. Just
some outside the box thinking from Kojima, even back in the day.
Exactly. That was the beginning of, oh shit, look at this. What's these new mechanics that Kojima's doing? So yeah, it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. There'll be multiple playthroughs, because obviously you can do, once you unlock different ways of completing the game in terms of how well you did, you can unlock different suits, and I want to try and complete it on the hardest difficulty so I can unlock stealth mode, just so I can go breeze through and just not get seen, because as much as I love stealth games and as much as I do try and stealth, I do suck at it most of the time. So even though in my playthrough I managed to do a non-lethal playthrough, so I managed to kind of get everyone stunned via like tranquilizer gun, I got seen multiple times because I'm just useless. I'm even though, like I said, I like stealth, but sometimes I'm just too impatient, and I don't want to sit here and wait 5 minutes for that guard to pass. I'm just gonna fuck. Yes.
Alarms going off.
And then you got to roll around and try and find a place to sneak, and then you're rolling. I'm in the grass. They can't see me, and then oh shit, there's a snake. Oh, he's gonna bite me. Fuck. And this game, there's quite a few quality of life improvements. One of which being, I think, for me, Metal Gear Solid 3, as much as I enjoyed it, it was kind of, when it came to 1 to 4, 3 was always my bottom. It's a bit like Mass Effect, where number 2 is still a 9.5 out of 10 game, but for me it was the lesser of the 3. And same as Metal Gear 3, like I loved Metal Gear 2, 1 and 4, and then this came in kind of 4th place. But again, a very high rating, but I was like, I really would have wanted 1 or 2 to get remade, but for whatever reason, this was, I didn't check the numbers, but I'm guessing this made the most sales back in the day, so which is probably why they did this one. But obviously, with the Metal Gear in the old days, you had that issue. Well, it's not really an issue, but the way it was kind of like a top-down view, and you kind of like, if you wanted to see in front of you, you had to kind of go into kind of first-person mode to kind of check your surroundings. But now with a remake, they give you 2 options. You can go with legacy style, which is how you played back in the day, but with up-to-date graphics. Or there's a new style where you can freely move the camera, so you can kind of check your surroundings like a modern game. So you can go, right, okay, I'm stuck here. Okay, let's see what's surrounding me. So you've got less chance of actually kind of getting yourself exposed. Other quite live improvements, you've got the kind of the quick camo menu. Back in, again, I keep saying back in the day. So on the original,
it was back in the day at this point now.
I know. I don't want to say it, but I kind of have to. Every time you wanted to change your camouflage, if you go into different areas or you're tied in different grass or mud, you have to press the pause button and then manually select what camo you wanted to kind of, give you the best chance of not being seen. Now, I think you just held down the up button on the D-pad, and it gave you a selection of outfits, and you could just do it there and then, rather than having to kind of press pause. So it's almost like a quick suit change, which was very handy and very, very thing. And it's the same with the Kodak as well. Like, you don't have to pause and bring someone. You could literally just hold down on the D-pad, and then your Kodak menu would come up, and you could just phone or save or whatever. So very handy quality of life improvements. I gave you a compass in your backpack now, which gives you, it's just north, south, east, west, but it gives a dot in the kind of general direction where you need to go. So if you are stuck on where you need to go next, you can just broadly follow the dot if you don't want to do an exploring or whatever. One thing as well, obviously, I said earlier about about how rubbish I can be at stealth and being seen. In the remake now, when the enemy's a bit suspicious, you'll actually see the question mark, go, huh? Yeah, what was that noise? That kind of thing. And you can see the direction of where it came from. Because obviously, when you're wearing headphones, obviously, the sound goes whichever ear direction comes from. But obviously, if you're not putting headphones, you're just watching the TV, obviously it just comes from the TV stereo. So it can always be very hard to hear where the guard came from. But now it gives you a visual clue of where the enemy saw you is. So you can go, right, you're not going to accidentally run towards the enemy that just seen you. You can go, right, let's go back, or go back that way. So it's kind of very handy in that way. There's also this actually came in the that was called the Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it's called Substance, which came out a few years later. Where it gave you the secret theater, which is back, and I unlocked one of the movies was hilarious. I almost sent it to you, Jay, but it was quite funny. Where it's literally the prologue, and the scientist that you're trying to save. You're with him, and then the attack helicopter comes in with all the bosses you're going to see throughout the game, and he just like lets them come in over your heart, and he just blows up the helicopter. And it's like, congratulations, you completed the game. It's like, okay, so there's you can unlock this, you can find these during the game by beating bosses a certain way, or certain troops will have them on the enemy where when you hold up an enemy, they'll shake it off and give you that kind of thing. So that's obviously quite funny, having all these secret theater things where you can see all these made up scenarios that are hilarious. And there's another they got a new mode in there. Well, there's 2 new modes. There's the online mode, which I haven't touched because I'm like, well, I don't want to suck. I know I suck, so I don't want to suck online as well.
Is that PvP type thing? Is that all?
Basically, yeah. From what I've seen, I didn't go into it, but from what I read, it is basically PvP. I don't know much about it other than that, so I won't go into it. And the other one is actually because an Xbox exclusive, because on the original, on the PS2, it was called Snake versus Monkey. But due to licensing things, it's now Snake versus Bomberman.
Actually, I remember. Yeah, I think you said about this Bomberman thing, because that's what piqued Graham's interest, and he realised it was Metal Gear. He's like, no.
Well, to be fair, you don't hide. You literally run around a map and you throw bombs at Bombermans. You're Snake, you throw a bomb. You don't get, from what I see, you don't get power-ups or anything, but you just throw a bomb and it gives you the cross direction. You got to just try and kill the Bombmans in a certain amount of time. Which I didn't play it, but it does look quite a lot of fun. Something I think Gray would definitely enjoy if he picked up the game. So it was a good game. But the only biggest gripe is the price was like 70 quid, you know, and 80 quid for the DLC, the cosmetics. And I'm like, £70. That was a bit. I'm like,
I mean, when you had remakes this year, like Oblivion remaster and stuff coming out at 40 quid, it seems a bit steep, doesn't it, to charge almost double that?
Well, I mean, I guess that's the
an even older game. But yeah, I suppose they got, like I said, they're getting back into the swing of it. I didn't realise about what you said about you can either play it with the top-down view or you can play it with the more modern. I thought it was just the more modern one. That's
no, you can do the legacy mode. Yeah, so you can just play it. You can just play it as it was back in whatever 2000 year it was.
Yeah, we were in 2000, so we don't need to.
2000 something.
Yeah.
So Metal Gear Solid 3 gets a nomination for I should say an honorable mention because it was very good, but it wouldn't have quite cracked my top 3 if I had a top 3 this year. But,
it seems to be the general consensus from the other sort of award things I've listened to and read and stuff. Is that it seems to be mentioned as it was better than we thought it'd be, but then there's all these other games that were just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's because this mistrust of Konami, and it's like, hang on. They give us a good game here.
Yeah, I was going to say this and Silent Hill F and Silent Hill 2 remake.
I know. We're just waiting for where's the catch? Where's this catch? What's going to happen? Something's going to come down bad on us. No, it's actually just a good game.
They're all going to turn into pachinko games at some point soon.
That'll be a separate DLC. So yeah,
mandatory DLC change them. Anyway, right. So Metal Gear Solid 3 dealt as your second honorable mention. You got a couple more. So hit me with the next one.
So the next one is the game that everyone's been raving about, which is, of course, Clair Obscur 33.
Never heard of it.
No. Well, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock for the last, 6 months, 8 months, this has basically been the game that's been on everyone's lips and minds for the past 6 months. When did it come out? Was it March?
April.
April, yeah. So it's been out a while now. I really did like it. Don't know why, but obviously we're going to go into spoiler territory, but obviously, you know, your ex-girlfriend evaporates in front of you and that's how the story ends. And that's the point where everyone was like, oh, I love this game so much. And I was like, I don't know if the game earned that much. But, akin to go back to, I don't know just the way the story was told, but obviously, you know, going back to The Last of Us, when obviously, you know, Joel and his daughter dies in his arms. And then, you know, I was like, holy shit, that teared me up a little bit. Whereas this was like, just his ex just died. Cool. Right. And then it took me, and then obviously, and then it wasn't until, it was very soon after where obviously you complete the prologue and you go to the island, and then the scene plays. I'm like, fuck it, I'm in. You know. I'm like, that's what grabbed me. Oh, why are you old? Hello, old man. Why are you old? Well, okay.
Start shredding everyone apart.
Because at the start you're working out, okay, this person's got a name, that person's got a name, okay, these are potentially going to be my squad mates. Because what I do now, because I'm very much out the loop these days when it comes to games and game news. So when I play a game, I'm very much don't know what's happened or what's going on, apart from when I listen to the Xbox 7 podcast, which happens most Sundays around 8 p.m. Ish. Thank you, Jake.
Well, no, not very much lately, but we'll get back to it.
I know, one day we'll get back to it. So yeah, there's not a lot more I can say that hasn't already been said about this game because it is just fantastic. The way I figured it is basically the Final Fantasy Final Fantasies have been waiting for since Final Fantasy X got released, and that was 2002 in Europe. So it's been 23 years since we've had a proper turn-based Final Fantasy type game. They had the parry system in the combat. Yeah, everything about the game was just superb. You know, despite my Xbox trying to sabotage it, with random crashes, which is again my console's fault, not the thing. But the story was pretty much easy to follow, which is good for someone like me because I can get a bit, even though I understood what was going on in films like Inception, sometimes games can get a bit like what's happening, and sometimes it takes a second playthrough for me to go, the things start to click and you go, okay, I understand that now.
They try a bit too hard sometimes, don't they, to get a bit over the top. And I did find the ending of, I won't get into it too much now, obviously, but it got a little bit like, what? Hang on. But I was trying to rush it. When I actually sat down and played it again properly, it was a lot more straightforward to follow.
This game, again, if you've been living in the rock, you know this game has swept 9 awards at the the Game Awards ceremony at Best Indie Game, Best Voice Acting for Jennifer English for Mael, at Best Art Direction, Best Debut Indie Game, Best Must, I don't know what that is. Best
Music.
RPG, Best Music, that's the one. Narrative, Game Direction, and of course one Game of the Year. So the only two I would disagree with. I mean, RPG. The thing is, obviously, these games get put into RPG when I'm thinking, well, you didn't do much role playing until the end. That final decision you've got to make. I'm like, otherwise, it's just a nice linear experience. The story doesn't change compared to what you do. So I was like, role playing. I was like, okay, maybe something else probably should have won that genre. But I can understand why people were loving it, and music as well. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, 50% of the soundtrack is just banging. Like, it is absolutely like breathtaking. Some of these songs, and like you heard the story about this 21-year-old guy from Spotify. The guy went, right, let's go get this guy, and he just created this like 8-hour-long soundtrack, which the guys at Soundford have put on YouTube for everyone to hear for free. Obviously, you can buy it if you want to support them. And I quite enjoy listening to it when I'm bored of listening to other news. I just pop it on because I drive quite a lot. I pop it on. I've got through the whole soundtrack in about 2 days, and my only issue is that a lot of the songs are the same, just remixed, which isn't a bad thing, but again, great soundtrack. Again, I don't really have much more to say about Clair because it is a fantastic game. It deservedly won a lot of awards. There's not much more I can add that, like I said, haven't been said. And I'm sure that when we get to yours, the Orbiter talk a lot more, and I'm sure Ross talked a lot more on his. So
we both he went into it quite a bit, and I'm sure I can fill in some space here. Don't worry.
I'm sure if people are tuning into this, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you like those two did. So let's just leave it as. It was a great game. Obviously, we've had this AI controversy that's came. I don't really understand it because.
But we're recording this on the 21st of December, and it's just over this last weekend. It seems that there's been some controversy, as people were saying, about some placeholder AI art, sneaking into the release, or whatever. I understand the hesitation of people against AI art and all that sort of stuff. Fair enough, but I think this one might have got a bit blown out of proportion a little bit. But
I am one of the AI haters. Like, please don't keep AI out of our games. But I think. Sometimes to get the juices flowing, AI can be good for that, right? It gives you that bit of, okay, what can that look? Oh, great, okay, and then you'll go to an actual artist and go, right, actually, look, here's a concept, do something with it, I suppose the other thing is, where do they go from here? These sound guys, they've created a 9.8 game out of 10, right? What happens next? Do they create another game in the universe of Clair Obscur? Do they do a prequel? Trouble with prequels is if you're in a Clair Obscur universe, you obviously know what's going to happen in these prequels. Yeah. And if it's just a totally different game, then it's just going to have such high expectations.
Yeah, I think they, like you said, they've got a lot to obviously live up to. If they keep it in the Clair Obscur universe, doing something with like the painters and the writers, the war that was alluded to, would probably be the right way to go. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we're going to be waiting a long time.
In terms of prequels, it's got to be obviously either the first one they ever did, or the 66 with the new guys with their strength. Like, I think that would just be a blast to play through. Even if they just, I don't think the game would be very long. But I just imagine like. All those things running through all those fields and the seas, and just these men. Oh, look at my gains! Let's punch through that. I think that would be quite a fun game. But I think Zero would be good. The Zero where Renoir and all that went for the first time. Yeah. I think that'd be good to see.
I think one thing we did float between us when we were talking before was an idea of like an anthology, like not doing every single expedition, but picking out the most popular ones and doing like a 20-hour game with 2 hours on each expedition or something along those lines, just rather than one long RPG like
because you think that because again I guess if you made another prequel, then you're just going to be potentially using the same assets over again because you'll be going through the same areas, right? Because I imagine the path won't be too dissimilar to what they were going
well, that's the whole point is
and stuff, so,
Expedition 33 are following the steps of the one. Anyway, we don't need to get too far into it. But
for
those who come after,
we said we wouldn't, and here we are getting into it.
but yeah, it's a very good game, and obviously well worthy of at least an honourable mention, if not higher. But for those that come after, indeed, what is your game that comes after Clair Obscur Expedition 33?
So my final honourable mention, if I can get my words out, of 2025 is Dispatch. Now, what a mother effing game, you know. I delayed my game of the year video, whatever, just because I wanted to play this game. Because as soon as you linked me to the demo, as soon as I played that demo, I was like, I need to play this because this is going to get into my top 3 if we do a top 3. And I'm so glad I waited because, oh, wow. Like, genuinely, possibly one of the best narrative story games ever. Obviously, I know we talked briefly offline about potentially compared to The Walking Dead. And for me, even though they're in the same category, they're kind of different because with The Walking Dead, obviously, you're not just watching and answering cutscenes. You're going around and exploring and doing bits and finding clues and whatever. Whereas this is just give me the story. Your choices matter, and they do. You know, again, we're going to mild spoilers here, but you know, all the choices matter. You think at the end of episode 2, you've got to cut one of the team, you know, and the choices you make have an impact. You know,
well, it affects the entire sort of last chapter, really, doesn't it? Yeah.
And the ending as well. You either get obviously, let's just go. You have to cut Sonar, or you have to cut is it Valkyrie? Her name?
Coop.
That's what I don't know why I keep saying Valkyrie. It's because of the wings and the
yeah. Valkyrie would be a good name for her, but yeah,
Coop is the one. Coop, that's the one.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously I've played through the game twice, so I've seen both scenes because I wanted to do alternate endings and alternate potential romances, and both scenes at the end where you're fighting him. They're so bloody epic, you know. The art of the game is just. I honestly thought that's not real. That's got to be AI, and I'm like, holy shit! This is actually like proper like this. This is the shit. Like, I don't think we played a game like this with these graphics in terms of the way the art style, and it really kind of like sung to me. And
I think that leads in because of what you were saying about you're not doing all the walking around like you're doing like The Walking Dead and stuff. It's just seeing like almost like a TV show in it. So they really hammered home the animation and the art style and everything into fine tuned it. So it's brilliant.
I mean, every character is voice acted just I'm not gonna say perfectly, but it's amazing. Like they all. You know, it's funny because I had only heard of Critical Role a couple of months before the game came out, and I was like, "Oh, look, that's that person, and that person, and that person." You know, and obviously you got Aaron Paul doing the. Aaron Paul is the main
Robert Robertson.
Robert Robertson. You know, and I again I learned that this is his first voiceover gig because I was like, because obviously with Aaron Paul, you associate him with the guy from Breaking Bad, right? And then you hear him doing this voice. And at first, I'm like, it's a bit out of place. And then I'm like, no, this is actually perfect. His voice for this character is actually amazing, and it's so well done. And then you find out actually Darren Paul's actually done so much VA work before, and you think, okay, fair enough. He's very good at this. And,
just don't mention Need for Speed to him, will it?
I haven't watched that film out of respect, so yeah.
Well, he was in one of the games as well, and I think he got pretty much panned for that one. But then the game wasn't very good, so it wasn't just him. But he does a great job as Robert.
There was a few racing game adaptations around that time that stunk. So yeah. Again, the soundtrack. I mean, there wasn't really a sound, but there is a soundtrack, but not like a normal game. But it's like when you're in the bar fight and you hear the music going, you think this is actually like the perfect sound for this fight and what's going on, and you just get so like immersed in the world. Sometimes, oh shit, I've got to click an option. You know, oh shit, I forgot to click a QTE because I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on. You know, again, like I said, twists feel real. Everything's fantastic. You know, obviously, I think there's 4 endings, isn't there? I
think so.
I think there's one that hasn't been seen yet, which they allude to. Where I think it might not be possible to unlock yet, because I think you've got to potentially succeed with every single dispatch. You can't fail one. I think that's the theories out there.
That's gonna be easier said than done.
On my first playthrough, I ended up. Well, I was trying to romance Invisigirl, but I ended up. I was being the goody two shoes and doing what I thought I was trying to like obviously romance Invisigirl, or her being my love interest, I should say. And then I just chose all the things, and I chose to cut her from the team. Again, we're going into spoilers here, so I apologize. We're going, I cut her from the team. But she still came and gave me a kiss in the locker room. I was like, oh, cool, we're fine. But at the end, I think because of that one decision, I got the kind of bad ending, where she becomes the villain, or potential villain, I should say. We don't know what's going to happen. And the second playthrough, I made Blazer my love interest. And yeah, again, the story just goes in so many different ways. And I don't know what more I can say, because it's just a fantastic game. If you love these types of games, go and get it, and it's only 25 quid on, I say only, I know £25 could be a lot of money to people, a lot of money to me, but for me, money well spent, because you can do multiple playthroughs. Thanks to Jamie, I learned that you can do more than one save file.
Yeah, you can have at least 3 save files.
I missed the massive box in the top corner saying save file 1. I was like, ah, shit, it's right there, isn't it? So I didn't have to erase all my save files. The only thing I wish it did have was, I know you can stop the chapters over, but I do wish it had that kind of point of no return option to go back and go, right, there's your conversation tree. Right, okay, so maybe at the end of, so instead of having to play through the whole of chapter 2, you can go skip to the end where you want to cut one of either Sona or Cooper. I think that's the only thing that's possibly missing. But then it encourages the playthroughs. You know, it's fun trying to figure out the dispatches, because obviously when your day job is basically dispatching villains trying to be heroes, and they've all got different attributes with like charisma and speed and vigor and strength and intelligence and all that. And obviously the game doesn't tell you directly what it is, but it gives you a clue what would help in that scenario. And there's quite a few times where I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be getting a cat out of a tree. I thought, oh, actually intelligence, but no, turns out you need mobility. I was like, damn. Still managed to pass it, thank God. But because I was like, imagine failing to get a cat out of a tree. How embarrassing. Yeah, that's the only thing for me I kind of wish it had. And then, of course, the other issue it does have is obviously apparently there is a season 2 in the works, potentially. And you think, well, where do they go from here? Because if there's 4, potentially, we know there's the 3 endings, definitely. If there's a potential 4th ending, you know, where do they leave off? You know, how do they decide what's canon and what? I think that's the only issue this game has, is if they do make a season 2, you know, which obviously is going to be years away, what do they make canon?
I wonder if they will try to do much like Mass Effect did, and I guess Walking Dead to a degree did, where they sort of give you a couple of endings in one season, and then the next season you've got so many sort of splinters, they just try and cover all bases. Or if they're just going to say, right, the canon ending is when this happened. I hope they do the first one, because that'd be a bit more interesting, I think. Just to see, like you said, if you've got a Visigal who's gone off one way or this way, or whatever this secret ending that no one's found yet happens. It'd be interesting to see how that then makes the sequel diverge. But again, I was reading an interview with them earlier on, and they were saying like it's a difficult second album now, because they've had 7 years to make this first game, and now everybody's going to be pestering them to make the next one in probably 2 or 3 years. And will they be able to pull off the same level of quality again? I hope so.
They got the same demo sample, haven't they? Got the same demo sample where it's like, basically, this bloody fantastic game. And what do we do now?
Two debut games, two games knocked out of the park, and 2 games now you're like, fuck. what are we gonna do now?
It's like 2 games that you've seen all the developers over the years that have just relied on success. You look at back in the day, back when Andromeda came out, that got tanked. Obviously we had to wait almost 10 years for a new Dragon Age. That didn't do particularly well. So we're seeing all these games have these massive hype, and they come out in this new age that we are in gaming, with microtransactions and whatever, and it's like they're just not that great anymore, because every developer's going towards always online, all these games, and now it feels like, I think maybe since EA took notice of the Star Wars game that came out, and they were like, oh, no one plays single games, and then they brought out that single player Star Wars game, and everyone loved it, and they're like, oh, hang on a minute, maybe we can make money from single player games. And then you got games like Baldur's Gate 3 as well. Even though Baldur's Gate 3 you do need to be online, I think we are now past all these battle royales and always online and Destiny 2s that kind of want all your time and all your money just to play their game and nothing else. I think we are in the stage of, bring out these fantastic single player games or multiplayer and just make them well, and the community will repay you with their money and time. You know, you look at Baldur's Gate 3 came out, 3 years ago now? Yeah, at the Game Awards, it's still there for ongoing game support. You know,
No Man's Sky as well has been going about 10 years now, and they won this year, didn't they?
That was another game. Yeah, exactly. They won something this year, didn't they? It's all these games that obviously the problem with No Man's Sky is when it came out, it was a bit dross, wasn't it? It got a kick in, but then like 2-3 years later, it was hang on, this is a good game. Not ever played it, but you know, you see the guys that play and go, it's a bloody good game now. So yeah, I think we're now in this age of hopefully where they're realizing, these companies do realize that single player games are the best. And you just look at the reaction at the Game Awards shows. Every game in the game show got a good reception. There was obviously the Mega Man, and there was the was it Divinity?
That's the new Larian one. Yeah, the
Larian one. They all got like, oh my god, hype. And then the last game, I'm guessing EA paid for it to be there, but the last game was this generic shooter. Everyone's like, oh, save that till last. Oh. So,
yeah, I didn't get to the end of the Game Awards yet, but everything I've read and listened to have been like, what was that ending game? Like Divinity would have been a far better, more thing.
Exactly. Whether you ended on Mega Man, Divinity, or whatever, it would have been a better end of the show.
Shenmue 4.
I'm guessing EA gave them some money and go, look, let's put our game on last. Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, we don't want those games anymore. Why are you giving us another Battle Royale shooter? We're past that. Like,
we haven't got enough, Pete. There's not enough free-to-play Battle Royale shooters out there anymore.
We don't even know it's free to play, to be fair, either. So
well, yeah. I'm making assumptions there. But anyway, that's for another time. We can discuss the future of the industry next year when we come back for a regular podcast or whatever it ends up being that we end up doing. But especially because Pete, I'm just going to run down your lists you've got so far. So you've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, just to keep Ian happy. Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Dispatch, the wonderful game from Ad Hoc Studios, has come out. As your honourable mentions. However, it's time for the main event. Tell me, what is your ultimate game of 2025?
So I don't think anybody could have seen this coming. You know, the game's been out. It got massive applause when it came out, and this year they released DLC number 8. So of course, my game of the year for 2025 is Baldur's Gate 3.
All that you have dreaded will come to pass. When the screaming stops and your mind is gone.
Ian. I love you. No, of course. So the real game of the year for 2025 for me is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Is that what you really want, son? No matter how many people you kill, you can't change what's happened.
Which for me is the ultimate RPG experience. The funny thing is, if you'd come to me this time last year and said, by the way, Pete, next year your KDC 2 is going to be a game of the year, I would have slapped you in the face because I thought you were mental. Because I hadn't even played 1 yet. And obviously, I think it was this time last year, you were getting messages from them, right? Asking about reviewing it, and you had to give you console details, and I was like, oh,
yeah. So I did a preview of it, just before this time last year, and then just before Christmas, they were like, give us the details because we'll be dropping your review code soon, and I was like, sure, I'm up for this, and then
you basically had a month to review it, but we'll leave your thoughts to one side because they're wrong. So
this is the positive part of the show. So you carry on. Tell me why you like this game.
So in terms of, I know I keep rating the Game Awards, but this game definitely missed out on the role playing aspect of it because it is the ultimate role playing game. You know, I've run out of words to describe how good it is. But you know, I played number 1 at the start of the year while you were playing through number 2, and the reason why I didn't go with number 1 is because I couldn't understand the combat, but I gave it another go, and I understood the combat, and I was like, hang on a minute, we've got a good game going on here, and I completed number 1. I was like, okay, I'm going to play number 2 because I've heard it getting all the rave ratings, apart from some person in this.
I don't know, some long-haired guy. I don't know, he wasn't as high as everyone else.
So I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. Obviously, I won't get it straight away. I'll give it a few months and play some other games, and I'll get to it. And honestly, it took me about a month to complete. And it was the only game I was playing because I was just so immersed in this universe where it's set in the early 1400s in Bohemia. You know, you're basically you're focused on the Civil War conflict between King Wenceslas and Sigismund, and you're just in the middle. You've got your own personal story going on, which ended at the end of number 1. And, you know, the game was able to successfully, in my eyes, because in terms of role-playing games, when you have a sequel, one of the worst things that happens is you've got the same character, the same world, but then your character just goes back to level 1 for no reason other than, it's a new game, so you've got to earn all your things again. Whereas this, you're like, it makes sense because you fell off a cliff and you're on death's bed. So it made sense that you lost some strength, you lost all this. And I'm like, okay, this works. You know, it made sense. You know, you can probably get behind the game from then on, you know. And, you know, I'm surprised you didn't like it, Jay, because again, you can talk to every single person out in the world, you know.
Sometimes there's too much talking, even for me.
And one of the bugbears I always have with RPGs is all these games that you run around cities is that you could just go around, you can just randomly go in someone's house. Oh, look, they got a chest. I'm going to take everything in that chest. That was always one of those bugbears because, like, you're this ultimate hero, but yet you're going around pilfering from everyone's house.
Fucking too, I'm the hero.
But yeah, you're not the hero yet, though. You're not the hero until you complete the bloody game. You know, but now you just.
I'll pay him back one day. I'll pay him back one day.
You have to go into that person's house and take their one potion. They might have needed that potion. You know.
Yeah, but I needed it, so.
You know, and you know, if you get, you know, most of the doors are locked. If you can try and get in there, but if you get caught in this house, you get reported, and you can pay a fine. You can go to prison. You can do all sorts of things. Also, you know, NPCs depending on when you talk to people in conversations, depending on how you dress or how you smell, all NPCs will have different dialogues and ways of speaking to you. You know, if you've just, you know, you might be in your night armor and you've just slaughtered a group of bandits and you go and talk to someone and they go, bloody hell, you're a bit bloody, aren't you? What happened to you? You should probably take a bath before you come to speak to me. You know, all these little like jibes where you think, do you know what? You can see that happening. You know, and the good thing about this game is, unlike on number 1, because in this game you got 3. Obviously, you want your armor for when you're fighting people, because you know you don't want to be fighting in your clothes because it hurts when you get hit by a sword or a mace. You got stealth mode, and obviously because the game's so realistic, if you try and sneak in your heavy night clothing, you're going to make rattles. So of course, if you're trying to sneak up on someone, they're going to hear you rattling, so they're going to wake up. So you'll need stealth clothes. So if you want to sneak around and suffocate anyone rather than redraw them in a one-on-one battle. And then of course you've got your charisma outfit. So if you want to talk, if you want to woo someone, or you want to, you know, get to a certain conversation point, you can wear clothing that will make you look like a noble, so people will speak to you proper and go, oh, okay, and you get the respect because you're wearing kind of noble clothing, you know. And in number 2, you can have 3 sets of clothing sets ready, so you can just press the Y button on the Xbox to go for each set, and you can just kind of go from there. Obviously, there is fast. Obviously, you can walk around the map, or you can take a horse around the map. But obviously, there is the fast travel option, and when you fast travel, rather than just going from A to B, you will get unique things. Like if you just go from A to B on your horse, you might not see these events. But if you quick travel, there are certain events that take places only if you quick travel. So it opens up the game a little bit more. And a bit like Skyrim, you know, one of the first things you want to do when you've done the little prologue, which you don't realize is a prologue, oh shit, that's probably the prologue. I can get on now. And you go out into the big battle. Well, one of the first things I'm like is, right, I need to go and get Mutt, because after you've fallen from the cliff, you get separated from your lovely dog. And I'm like, right, the first thing I want to do is go get Mutt, because he is very good in a pinch. If you got like a 3-on-1 situation, you know, just like in real life, if you're 3-on-1, you're gonna probably get shit on. But Mutt could distract one of them, and 1v2 is a much easier prospect. So I thought, right, I'll go and get Mutt. And just like games like Skyrim, by the time you go from A to B, you've already picked up 15 side quests. You know, it's just such like an immersive, like, open world game. You know, it's just I don't know how to describe it.
I don't wish to derail you.
Yeah.
But everything you've just said is exactly why I did not like that game. It was just so. I think had I played it at a different time, or certainly when we were younger and had a bit more free time to just spend, a longer playing it or what have you, I feel like I would have got a lot more into it, because I can see why you like it and I can see why a lot of people like it. But for me, like, everything that you just described frustrated the shit out of me.
Yeah.
To the point where I just could not. It just was not gelling for me at all.
The early game can be frustrating because you need to eat more and you need to do this. But when you level up and you get more perks, you can half the need for eating, you can half the need for sleep and stuff like that. So by the time you get to level 10, you're like, okay, I don't need to sleep. You need to sleep because otherwise you get tired and you fall over. So there are perks to kind of negate all the things that you kind of don't like. And like I said, for me, this is kind of like, especially with combat, it's so rewarding. Obviously, if you can't learn the combat, then I can understand why you might not like the game, because obviously combat is a big part of the game, But the game rewards you for kind of like, obviously you think you might be a sword and shield guy, or you might be like a two-handed sword, and you can learn something called a master strike, which is, a lifesaver, because rather than just blocking, if you get the master strike right, you can counterattack and hit them. But this is where, if you just level up with swords, if you then come across a guy who's kitted out in knight armor, like, your sword's not going to do much damage to him. So this is where the game rewards you for maybe leveling up your skill in kind of using maces or halberds or even kind of crossbows, because obviously heavy weapons will do better against armor. So, yes, you can. My first playthrough, I went down the route of, right, I'm just going to be a sword and shield guy. And then I fought in this tournament, and I was like, all right, you've got to use halberds. And I was like, shit, I've got no skill. And because I've got no skill in it, Henry doesn't do as much damage, which makes sense, because you're not very good with a weapon. You can't do as much. You lose more damage blocking, all this kind of thing. And I got my ass kicked. And I'm like, right, but then the sword and shield, but then the sword round came. I go, right, now I can kick your ass. So, it definitely rewards you for kind of like multi-skilling yourself. But you don't have to just do things. You can obviously go to vendors and ask them to train you how to do things. And things like Henry can't read. Well, if you go down that road, he's obviously back in the 1400s, it wasn't common for people to read, especially people that weren't nobles. So and if you just pick up a book off the shelf and read it, you'll gain it's called speech, and it allows you to read more, and you become like more intelligent. So for me, this is kind of, like I said to you at the start, this is for me the ultimate RPG, which is why it should have, I feel it definitely should have beaten Clair Obscur when it comes to a role-playing game, because there's so many choices you can do. You can complete side quests before you even start them. Well, not complete, but like, for instance, if you stumble on a bandit camp, right, and you take him out, and you find a ring and you save that, and then maybe 2 hours later you come across and goes, oh, I've lost this ring, and you're like, is this your ring? Holy shit, where did you find that? Whereas in other games, like, that ring wouldn't be there, and you'd have to you'd take the bandits out, and then you'd go get the quests, and you'd come back and have to then fight those same bandits again. The only thing for me that was, well, it's not a letdown, but it's more of a funny thing where they did use quite a lot of the facial assets over and over. So there was a guy, there's at least 2 or 3 faces. I'm like, hang on, you were the guard a minute ago. Why are you over here? Hang on. And another guy, like, hang on, you were playing the lute a minute ago. Like, there's that scene, where they've the lute scene where they're singing Henry's song. And when the guy is there, I'm like, you're the lute guy, but now you're over here. And another thing,
that's it, unplayable. Can't believe they've done this.
Another thing as well is, if you do commit a crime in one of the towns, if you commit, like, if I'm comparing to Skyrim, right? Obviously, I know Skyrim's like more than 10 years old at this point. But, like, if you commit a crime in Skyrim and then you walk to another town, you're a criminal there as well. I was like, how did you know I was a criminal? How the hell did you hear that fast? We're in
carrier pigeons, isn't it?
That was the theory. Whereas in KCD2, it's literally just you're in trouble in that town. And then sometimes it will get to another town, but it won't be straight away. It'll be, oh shit, I heard about someone who did this, and sometimes you're talking to someone and then you'll just hear a random NPC. They'll talk to someone and they'll just talk about what you've done. You're like, oh, that was me. I didn't find out who it was. you know. And again, the streets are all live, and you will find people brawling against each other. I accidentally got hit in the face once because I was watching. Oh, this is fun. I'm gonna watch this brawl, and the guy punched me, and I was like, "You fucking what?" So of course I joined in.
Naturally, yeah.
But also going back to the combat, I keep circling around to these points. Combat, like the ultra realism of it as well, is if you got a 3-on-1 and one of the enemies is like an archer, the best thing you can do is basically just duel the two in front of you, but make sure that they're in their line of sight, and the archer will either not fire or it will try and get you but hit his teammate. There's been quite a few occasions where the guy has killed his friend because he's trying to get me and hit his friend. The friendly fire,
Yeah.
And there's so many ways you can kind of deal with enemies. Every enemy camp will have like a pot, and you can kind of poison it or whatever. And then you'll just sleep. You come back, and you'll just find all the bodies sprawled out because they've eaten the poison. Sometimes, like a lot of bandits will, like the last bandit will run away because oh my god, he's taken out 5 of my friends. I'm going to run off, and the bodies will stay there. And he'll come back like an hour later, and he'll just sobbing because all of his friends are dead. And you're like,
Game of the year. Game
of the year. So yeah, I don't know how much love I can give this game, but just again, if you can get around the combat and learn it, I did. So if I can do it, you can. I'm looking at you. It is just a fantastic game. Like I said, it is the ultimate RPG because it has every element. They've thought of everything, in my opinion. And it was very satisfying to see some of the moments that weren't closed off from number 1. And the romance options are cool, and it's this for me, enters my all-time great list. I don't think no game will ever dethrone Final Fantasy VIII, but in terms of conversations of like greatest games of all time, like in my personal, like what my list would be, this would be up there. This would be in a conversation of, you got Final Fantasy VIII, and then you got all the others. This would be in all the others that like just resonate with me. And I'm like, and it's like I would like a bit like you said about timing, right? Obviously, it took me a month to complete, but played nothing but this. But the thing is, I didn't want to play anything else. This is why I think it for me, I was like, I couldn't put it down. Whereas when I was playing other games this year, I was quite happy to go, right, I've had a night of that, I might play something else now. Whereas this was, no, I'm playing this, I'm playing nothing else. I've got to get through this, And it was over 100 hours of side quests and main quests and getting better, and yeah, fantastic.
So, fantastic. I mean, I'm glad you do enjoy it because, like I said, I can see why people. It wasn't for me, but I'm obviously the one of the outliers here. But you, considering, like you said, you hadn't even played the first one up until earlier this year, wherever it was, and then you jumped into the second one, and then now it's your favorite game of the year.
Yeah,
shows they must have done something right.
And just closing thoughts on me. Really, I think this year, not that I'm religious, but I'm going to use the word blessed. I think we've been blessed this year to have 3 games in KCD2, Dispatch, and Clair Obscur 33 that could all be considered games of the generation. And we've had it all this year. Obviously, there's other games this year that have blown. Like I didn't play. Is it Blueprints? Games like Blueprints, Hades 2 got a lot of love as well. I didn't play those. We've had a lot of good games this year, and I think my top 3 would have been the 3 I just discussed, and I think we're very lucky that those 3 could be considered in the games of this generation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And from talking to AJ and Ross as well, and some of the other guys that that haven't done one of these yet. Everybody's got a different sort of order of the top list, and everybody's got a different top game. And like you said, everybody is wherever they have picked have gone. It's one of my favorite games of the last 10 years, not just this year type thing. So there's been a lot of tremendous games this year. Looking back at my list, there's so many great games this year. And next year, I mean, we got a lot more exciting stuff to look forward to, which again we can discuss on a separate video at some point. But I'm sure you've got a few you're looking forward to next year as well, Pete.
There's the I think it's supposed to come out this year, but is it the Crown of Solasta series? I think a new one of that is coming out. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, I'm probably going to play Final Fantasy Remake on Xbox, even though I've obviously played it already on the PS5 and PS4. Of course, I would say GTA 6, but it's probably going to get delayed again. And of course, I think we're still waiting for the I forgot the developer's name. The guys that did House of Ashes and all that lot.
Oh yes, Supermassive. Yeah, with Directive 80.
So we're still waiting for that game to come out. If that comes out next year, that'll be one on my list to watch out for.
Yes, nice. All right. Well, we'll do a proper discussion about what we're looking forward to in the new year with some of the other lads, I'm sure, at some point. But for now, KCD 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is Special Guest Pete's game of 2025. Thank you very much, Special Guest Pete, for joining me this evening for this discussion on all of your favourite games. You can find him at Peter Kaninch on X or Twitter or whatever it is you want to call it.
I don't post, but I'm on there.
Yeah, you can find me at IanXan, much the same. You can find us also at Xbox Tavern, Gaming Tavern on YouTube, xboxtavern.com for all written stuff, which you can go read a lot of the reviews about the games that me and Pete have discussed, as well as AJ and Ross. Lots of reviews up on there. A few more to come, again, depending on when this video goes up over the Christmas break before we get back into it in the new year. But for now, thank you very much. We shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.